Hello, Rachel.
Hi.
Nice of you to join me in this time of quarantine.
Nice of you to invite me. Thank you.
So how is, just to start off with the usual topics, I guess, how has quarantine affected you then personally?
I think it's affecting me the same way it's affecting everybody, to be honest. I think I'm slowly going mad. Slowly going mad. No, I'm coping all right. I've got plenty of work to keep me going and plenty of stuff to be on with.
Yeah, do you normally work from home? I think you were telling me earlier. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of used to the whole same four walls, find ways to mix up your day thing. So it's not new for me. But obviously it's just the lack of being able to go out if I want to. So it's having that option that I miss.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You have to be very regimented these days. I know. I also work from home most of the time, and I claim that I've already been self-quarantined in my normal life, so it's not too much different. But you're right, the routine, the options for going to the shop or something, you have to really nail that down.
Yeah, I kind of miss going to see my authors and being able to meet for coffee. And, it's that little social thing that I miss. But the actual work itself, I'm used to doing at home. So there's no change.
Yeah, excellent. So you are an Amazon International #1 best-selling author, which means you've obviously published a number of books.
Yeah.
So I guess first we'll just start with, well, how did you get into writing? At sort of what age? Did you sort of always know you wanted to be a writer, an author, or?
No, not always. It sort of started for me at about 13, 14. And I mean, I wrote stories as a kid. I was quite creative as a kid, but I never actually wanted to be an author. And then this team came into our school in secondary school. I think I was about 14. And introduced us to writing poetry, and it was for this competition, and if you wrote a good one and they liked it, they would choose it and publish it in like a collection, and it was to raise money. It was like Martin Luther King, and you had to write inspirational poems based on that topic. So mine was chosen and I got published, and I kind of just thought to myself, wow, that was really easy. And if it's that easy to do it with a poem, I wonder is it easy to do it with like one of my short stories or something bigger. So I started writing at home. I had about 50 different documents like this time, and like labeling them daft things like I will not fail this time, because I didn't have titles for any of them. And then it took quite a while, and then in 2010 I finished my first novel and self-published it, having tried to get an agent and ending up with an agent that didn't work out, and just a load of realizations that actually I was probably better doing this on my own than with somebody representing me, and just got into the business that way and naturally kind of wrote book after book, and here I am.
Excellent. So you actually did get an agent initially.
Yes.
And then, so what was your experience then? Because most self-published authors kind of go with the idea that it's either they try and can't get an agent, or they just sort of say, well, that's it's not really worth my time. I just want to get my book out. So yeah. So what was your experience with that then?
Not good. It was not good. Not initially anyway. I mean, it took me a while, and lots of rejections, and I tried doing the whole unsolicited manuscript thing and sending it in, and got a lot of rejections that way. And then I got this guy contact me and say that he thought my concept was interesting and he would take me on, but he kind of made it sound, there was warning signs, I should have known sooner that it was going to go the wrong way. And he made it sound like he was doing me a massive favour, like he already had all these authors, but he would squeeze me in effectively. And he thought that the book would be good enough, so he took me on. He signed me. I didn't pay anything up front. He wasn't going to charge me unless the book actually sold. And then he slowly just lost contact. He wouldn't get in touch with me. If I messaged him, he would never reply. I was waiting weeks for replies to emails. He never ever touched base by phone, and it just got very suspicious. And he was constantly then, when he did reply, constantly telling me how it needed copy editing and he would be willing to do it for this fee. And it turned into I've taken you on and I've tried, but they're saying no, without actually forwarding me any emails from these people, and then trying to get money out of me for copy editing. So it went downhill very quickly, and it left a bitter taste in my mouth when we finally parted ways. I think I was with him for like a year and a half, 2 years. So it was quite a while that I gave it before I actually decided that it wasn't for me. And I just decided that it left a bitter taste and I didn't want to have to go through that again. And the replies that I did get sent were very stuck up and snobbish. And I was getting replies that I think most independent authors fear getting. And it's not just a rejection, but it was quite, not rude, but I was just thinking, I don't need this. I don't need this kind of negativity in my life. I know what my book's worth. And I knew it needed work, and I just thought, I can do this on my own. I don't need to be paying anybody to do this. I think I can probably do this on my own. And that's how I decided that it was time to go independent, to self-publish. I'm not saying I did it right the first time, made a lot of mistakes, but it's got me to where I am, and I don't regret it.
So what was your experience at the beginning then? Because that was sort of around the time I started a few years earlier, but it's quite different then from what it was now. It's all been streamlined much more now. Well, so what was your experience with the first sort of self-publishing attempt?
My first experience was with Lulu, the self-publishing company Lulu, and they were fine, brilliant. Books were really nice quality, lovely print, really good customer service. So it wasn't actually the company that was the problem, it was me. I was just inexperienced. I kind of was in the mindset of, I was 18 at the time, and I kind of just thought, I'll whack it up on Amazon and all my friends and family will buy a copy and I'll be a bestseller within a week, and yay. And about 10 people probably that knew me bought the book, and a couple of people in my school, because I was in sixth form at the time, a few friends, and then tumbleweed. And the realisation that it wasn't that easy started to kick in, and the realisation that I estimated my royalties wrong. So I thought, every book that sells, that's £5 in my pocket, and it wasn't. It was like 50 pence in my pocket. So I'd really underestimated how it worked, and it shocked me into thinking there must be a different way of doing this that was easier for me, but doing it the right way. So it was kind of like, this just seems too hard. There must be a way to sell books. There must be another in to do this. So I just kept writing, and then realised that actually maybe CreateSpace was the way to go, because I was doing a lot of research, watching a lot of YouTube videos, and lots of the indie authors that seemed to be doing well were with CreateSpace. So I kind of thought, okay, maybe a change of platform, change of mindset, change of book, new start. And I kicked it off there, and learned quickly that CreateSpace did offer me more than Lulu did. And I found that with it being an Amazon-based company, it was easy for people to order books, and updates went through quicker, and customer service was better and stuff like that. So just gradually, I think it's a process of, for me, it was a process of just, I'll try this and see what happens. I'll try this and see what happens. And gradually, I kind of defaulted to Ingram Spark, and since then, I have not looked back. Ingram Spark have just been the best company out of them all.
So why do you prefer Ingram Spark? I mean, they presumably upload to Amazon as well. So I guess, is it just because they have good customer service and a wide distribution base, or? Yeah,
I mean, it's not just the customer service or the distribution. I actually went and visited Ingram Spark. I had a tour of the facilities. I got invited to this event basically where they invite authors, publishers, and I attended as a publisher with my co-author, who's my dad, and we both went, and it was like Disneyland for me, seeing books being printed. It was like, ooh, what does this machine do? And I got to ask all these questions and basically get that one-to-one with somebody from the company. So literally I could just say, so tell me, how does my book get into Waterstones then? What's the relationship you've got with Waterstones? How about Barnes and Noble? And I got that one-to-one reflection on how the company worked and really what they could do and what the possibilities were. And I got to meet some of the faces behind the names of the customer service agents that I was already familiar with, because I'd been to and fro for emails and queries. And it was nice to actually shake somebody's hand and learn in person how things work. And I quickly realised as well that Ingram Spark are probably the only company that allow you to do returns and allow you to set your own discounts and things. So with regards bookstores and accessing bookstores, you are far more likely to get into bookstores with Ingram Spark than you are with any other company. And that's because Ingram Spark is effectively a doorway into Ingram as a distributor and a wholesaler in general. So they really are like the center of everything for Ingram. So that's why I went with them.
Oh, excellent. So you published entirely through them now, and then they upload to Amazon and get you content.
Yeah, the only thing I don't do with Ingram is ebooks. I stick with KDP for that, just because I'm used to the system and it's one less ISBN I have to pay for. So I actually use the KDP free ISBNs that they offer for ebooks only, but Ingram Spark do my print for paperback and hardback.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And Ingram Sparks, do you have to pay for each book you upload there, or is there a?
Yeah, there's an upload fee initially, so it's something like $49 or $50, which in the UK is like £35. And then if you want to make any amendments to re-upload a new version or a new edition, it's $25 every time you want to do that. But the good thing about Ingram Spark is they constantly have like free codes and discounts available. So I think I've paid once out of all of my experience, and none of my authors have had to pay either, because we just time it right for a code. So you get the benefit of Ingram Spark without having to pay for the costs.
Wow, sounds great. I think we've gotten slightly off topic. I will get back to the your books and your authorship now, and then we'll move back to your publishing company.
Yeah, sure.
So you've got I think 3 number ones you've got on Amazon, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, 3.
Which is just pretty impressive. So you mentioned the first one was Finding Pandora in 2017, somewhere around the end of 2017.
Yes, that was my young adult high fantasy book, and there's actually 4 in the series. It's one paperback, but it's 4 sections, and it was actually the ebook for the first book in that series, in that paperback, that hit number 1.
And did you do anything special in terms of advertising or promotion or anything like that to
yes,
help
giving the book away for free?
Okay.
And I know it's cringy, and a lot of authors will think I don't want to give my book away for free, but the way that I look at it is not how much money you're going to make from that book, but getting that book to number 1 gave me the title of best-selling author, which in itself helps to sell books anyway. Right. And for me, viewing a free best-selling book wasn't a big deal. Like, I had people contact me and say, that's great, it's nice that you've got to number 1 with free books, but now let's see if people actually pay for it. And I'm thinking, that's not really where this is going. The whole point of having a book hit number 1 is demand. People want the book, they click buy. And let me tell you, I have seen my fair share of free books up there and not clicked buy because they look naff. They've got horrible covers, or they don't sound like a book that I'm interested in. So to actually click download for me is a big deal, regardless of how much that costs. So in my book that you see behind me, I talk about whether being a free bestseller is a real bestseller. And to me, it doesn't matter how much you pay for a book. If that book is in high demand and lots of people are clicking, yes, I want this, they want it, and that's that. And that tells me that the book is good, and the reviews that came in told me the book was good, and the fact that people have now got it on their Kindle and constantly tell me that they've got it on their Kindle is a good thing. So giving that book away for free because it was the first in the series then prompted sales of the other books in the series, and then the paperback when that was created as a whole. So free books for me were the answer to a lot of my problems, and then obviously promotions and discounts and stuff like that. And the other thing I don't do is paid advertising. Right. I've never done paid advertising.
So I was curious then, with the free giveaways initially, did you get a lot of reviews from that as a result of that? Because people sometimes are quite reluctant to review.
Yeah, if you look on Amazon, it probably doesn't look like I've got that many reviews, and I don't think publicly I do, but the amount of people that emailed me and said, I read your book, loved it, now a fan, thinking of buying one of your other ones, or who came up to me at an event, or I've had a lot of, I do a lot of school visits, and a lot of the kids there downloaded it onto their iPads or whatever it was that their mums and dads were allowing them to use. And then no matter how many times I said to people, that's great, I'm so glad that you loved it, go on Amazon and leave me a review, and maybe 2% did. And that's the thing I find, that I can never judge how well a book has sold and how well a book is doing because you never know, because not everybody leaves a review. So even like the best-selling books that are out there, they might have 200 reviews. I bet 20,000 people have probably read that book or bought it. So you just can't tell whether or not a book is doing well and whether it's successful and whether it's any good by reviews alone. What I look for is when people are reviewing my book, I look at the quality of review rather than the star rating. So say if I get 10 reviews for a book and all of them are 2-star, that's cringy. If I get 10 reviews and sort of some of them are 3-star, some of them are 5-star, and if that's a book that I'm looking to potentially buy myself, I tend to believe that that's more of a real view of what the book's like, even though it's not got very many reviews, because the reviews are varied, which generally happens with readers, because you'll get people that love it and you'll get people that hate it. So reviews are a really big thing for authors in general. It's like, if you don't have very many reviews, you're not doing very well, and it's a sign that that author's not doing well and that they're no good. That's not the case, because no matter what you do, you cannot force a reader's hand, whether they've bought the book and love it or not.
Yeah, Amazon does try at the end of the Kindle, don't they? They would take you immediately to the rating page, but even still, it's still hard to get reviews, isn't it?
There's ways to kind of tempt readers to leave reviews, and it does help your book sales if you can get reviews. Don't get me wrong, like in the book behind me, I say that ideally if there's like 500 reviews, that's brilliant. You know that people are reading it because the evidence is there. But if you've got 15 reviews on a book and you're finding that it's hard to get more, it doesn't necessarily mean that it hasn't sold more than 15 copies, and it doesn't necessarily mean that those people haven't left a review because they don't like it. Some people don't know how to leave a review. Some people just forget, they don't have time. They review it on a different platform like Waterstones or Goodreads. So just because you're shopping on Amazon and a book doesn't have reviews doesn't mean to say that that author's not sold copies, and it doesn't mean to say that they're not trying all different things, including links in the backs of ebooks. But I don't click those links. I'm a reader, a really avid reader, and I don't click those links. I do review books, but I don't click through the links in the back of the book.
Yeah, I bet if they just had the star rating without having to put anything in as a description, they'd probably have a lot more ratings. But it's always that creativity, isn't it? You're like, oh yeah, I want to give this a 4-star, but then I don't want to have to think for 10 minutes on what to rate.
Well, my Kindle runs on Steam as well. It's like the original Kindle with the big keyboard at the bottom. And I love my Kindle. I love the original one because it doesn't do anything else, so I don't get distracted. I'm not tempted to surf the internet. So when it comes to clicking links in the back of my Kindle, it's actually really hard to figure out how to do that, because you have to push all these buttons to get the cursor to move. So I think if you were using a tablet, it's probably easier to just tap and click a link. Whereas for me, putting links in the backs of books is pointless because I can't physically click them if I tried. So I think as technology moves on, there will be new ways for people to be tempted to leave reviews. But personally for me, if I don't have the time or I forget, it could be 3 months between finishing reading a book and enjoying it before I leave a review, purely because in that space of time I've forgotten.
Yeah. So you then the next book you had that went #1 was Noah Finn and the Art of Suicide, which is quite a provocative title.
Yeah, cringy title, cringy subject. But I think, to be honest, that worked in my favour as well. I think that might be why it did so well, because people were tempted by the title. It was quite edgy and quite risky. And Noah Finn and the Art of Suicide is not only about suicide, but it's actually set on 9/11. So when you talk to people at book signings about that, instantly you see like the terror in the face. Like, can I be seen to buy a book like this? They really want to know what it's about, and they really want to buy it and read it. But actually, when you see that if they've got other books, they will, at book signings, they will hide it between the other books, because it's almost like this. It's a topic that they don't want to talk about. So I think that probably helped in my favour, because it had that edge and people were curious, if anything. So maybe the secret to having a best-selling book is to write about weird stuff,
edgy stuff. Yeah, because it's I remember hearing you speak about it, and it's as you say, it's set on 9/11, but it's not really focused on the events of 9/11, is it? It's more about the Noah Finn's life, if I remember.
Yeah, it's a story of a guy that he's killed in 9/11, but he's actually about to commit suicide off the top of one of the towers when the plane hits and takes away his choice. So he actually doesn't end up committing suicide. And it's about him waking up and having conversations with the Grim Reaper about why his life is meaningful and how he should look at all the other people on that day that have been forced to lose their life, and why would he want to throw his away when other people want theirs and weren't able to keep it. So 9/11 is used as a setting to teach Noah a lesson than it actually is a story about 9/11. So it's there in the background, but it's not actually what the story's about.
All right. That sounds very interesting. I did start reading it, but I haven't finished yet. But then you recently you've moved on to a completely different kind of genre than with your dad. You were writing Bluetooth and the World Wide Web. So it's a kid's book, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, middle grade. So it's like 9 to 12 years.
Okay. It sounds quite interesting. I mean, I love the title. So.
Yeah. Well, it was actually my dad's creation, so I can't take credit for this. I wrote the book, but my dad gave me the ideas. He created the world and the story, and he said, this is what's going to happen. But my dad has no writing experience, so he came to me as the writer and said, I was in a bit of a writing slump at the time, and I think I had a little bit of writer's block, and I was really struggling to come up with something new to write. And I said, I really fancy writing a kid's book, but I've never done that before, and I write all this edgy, weird stuff, all this stuff that's set in universes that don't even exist and on really horrible events that have taken place in history. And I just want to write something that's fun and young and just something that's a bit silly. And he was like, I have the perfect idea for you. I woke up with this dream, and he wakes up with these wacky ideas in his mind sometimes. So I gave him a notebook and said, write it down, tell me what you want to do, and we'll co-write it. You tell me what to write, I'll write it, and then I'll bounce it back. And we did that. And it worked really, really well. It was a really good partnership. And we ended up coming up with this really wacky character called Bluetooth, who is a spider living in the spider world, the insect world, who has this blue fang. And ever since he was little, his fang can connect to the internet, and he doesn't know why. Whereas everybody else has to connect to the World Wide Web. So they all have like webs connecting to other webs that connect to their laptops and their web books, and all that stuff. So they have to actually manually connect, whereas he just connects and he never really knows why. So it's about wasps attacking that system and trying to slash the connections to bring down the insect world and dominate the insect world, and how Bluetooth and his fang help to resolve that. So it's kind of a way to talk to kids about technology, because kids know more about technology now than we do. I had to research half of the technology in there, so they know more about devices than I do. So it was kind of trying to think of a topic that they would love whilst making it equally filled with toilet humour and adult humour, that when they read the book to the kids, they will get jokes that the kids don't and have a giggle as well. So that's where we went with it, and it worked really, really well.
Excellent. So that reached #1 quite recently, didn't it?
Yeah, beginning of this year, end of last year, beginning of this year, I want to say. And it was ebooks, I think, that got us there.
Okay. That's interesting. So because ebooks don't sell generally as well as the print version for kids' books, if I'm not mistaken. So
no, but
interesting.
Again, we've got the benefit of it being a middle grade, not a preschool. So it's not all illustrations. It's not like a picture book. It's right. a little pocket size. It's a 4.25 inch by 7 inch paperback, and it's like a short story, so it's not very big, nice and light, and it's illustrated, but it's only illustrated one image of one character for each chapter. So there's like 10 different chapters and 10 different images. So it works really well on a Kindle because it is mostly text. So, I mean, if I had a preschool book, probably wouldn't have had the same success.
Yeah.
But the format and the way that we wrote it and the way we decided to illustrate it just worked really well for ebook, so we were quite lucky.
And have you seen just checking the Q&A for a second there. Have you seen an uptick in ebook sales at all since the quarantine started?
Yes and no. Pre-orders at the moment are available for three of my authors. So we don't actually have very many official sales at the moment, because all the pre-orders, obviously we don't always get told about them until after the fact. So the pre-orders are doing really well as far as I can see, but with regards whether or not they're more or less than a paperback, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I don't see the paperback figures until further down the line. But so far, ebook figures are really, really good. And one of my authors, her ebook figures were good enough to get her to number 2 on the Amazon best-selling list before the books actually even come out. So Alana Bettenbow, they call her, and she's producing Brother Butterfly. It comes out on Saturday, this Saturday, and she got to number 2 without actually having to do much because the book just... Obviously, she had a lot of excitement from friends and family, so she's not had to attend events for this. It just happened naturally, which was lovely.
Excellent. Well, that segues us well into, I think, your publishing company, because you keep talking about your authors. So,
yes.
So in addition to being an Amazon #1 best-selling author, you are also run your own publishing company, Curious Cat Books.
Yes. I do.
So how and why did you start that, and how has it been going then?
People just kept asking me if I ever thought to do this for other people. They're like, you seem quite successful and you managed to do this yourself and you seem to know quite a lot about the industry. Why do you not offer this to other people? Surely that's a natural step. And all along I've resisted and said, no, I could never do it for somebody else. I would never want that responsibility. And then I taught a writing class last year at a local community centre. And this lady came up to me and said, I have this little collection of stories that mean a lot to me. I would really love to see them in print, and I wondered, would you be able to help me? And initially it was just like a coaching kind of thing. I was like a mentor for her. We used to meet every week, and then it just dawned on me that actually maybe if I was going to take that step, doing so with her as my first author might be the ideal way to start. So we kind of agreed to be each other's guinea pig. I would help her to create the first book, and she would assign to my company and be my first author. So we kind of came to this mutual agreement that I would help her to produce this book for herself and her son as well. It was like her son was her illustrator, so it meant a lot to her, and she just wanted to see them in print more than anything. And it was kind of a trial and error sort of situation, and it went surprisingly well. So from there, I kind of then thought, okay, I like this, I'm good at this. Managed to get quite a bit of success. We did quite a lot of book signings and interviews, and kind of got her to come out of her shell a little bit as well, and saw that what I was doing was actually really good, not just for myself, but for my authors. And I just really fell in love with the whole idea of helping people to create things that were really important to them. And from then on, I just kind of studied and signed more people and learned more. And I'm not saying for 1 minute that I know everything. And I'm sure one of my authors will come to me at some point and say, can we do this? And I'll go, no idea how to do that, but let's do it. And the whole point of having that person, for them to have that person that they can learn with and that can do the research for them and ease that pressure off of them, that's something that I really value in my company. Like, the reason that I've not hired 20 other people is because I want the service to be personal. I want to help people to do what I struggled to do and to help them not have to go through what I did. So that's the reason really that I'm still doing it and managing to do it successfully, because I think I just care. And I think it's that really having that caring and that personal input that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. This is sort of the same feeling with Quantum.press as well. It's the same. It's wonderful seeing, well, bringing that ability for people to get their books out there that would have never got their books out there otherwise.
It's the unboxing videos, and I mean, before COVID, I used to make a point of meeting with my authors and letting them open the first book and videoing it for them.
Oh, okay.
Putting it on YouTube and watching them sign their first copy and recording it all for them, because there's nothing like that feeling. Even now, when you open your 6th book, you still get that kind of, I created this. There's a little bit of me in here that's going to last forever, even when I'm no longer here. And it's capturing that moment and just seeing the way people react, and that I can help to bring joy to that person and to bring that book to life for them. It's that there's just no feeling like it. And even though it's not my own book, it's when I see an author that happy, I kind of get the feeling again, like I do when I open my own books. I kind of get to relive all that experience, and I just love it.
So how many authors do you have signed then right now?
I had 9. One of the lady that I was telling you about that signed to me, she had some personal reasons and decided that she just wanted to take a step back for a while. So she's now no longer with us. Hopefully she will continue to publish though, because it'd be really sad to see those stories just not be created again. So there's 8 of us at the moment, including myself and my father, who's my co-author. He's part of that as well.
Excellent. That's quite a bit. Yeah. And you started only fairly recently, didn't you? A couple years.
About a year ago. Yeah. Wow. I only actually took people on like this time last year. So the company's grown really quickly. But then again, I'm like, this month, there's 3 books hitting the shelves in 3 months. So
it keeps you very busy. Well, that segues into a couple questions we have then. Sure. So is your, would you say your author and your publishing company is your main job for source of income, or do you still have a day job as well?
No, I have a day job as well. I work from home most of the time for that job, and then literally like when I finish my job, it is swap computers, swap keyboards, and straight on to the next one. So I kind of work what I feel is like 2 full-time jobs. I know that my business is like a small part, but I work so many hours on it, and I mean, I'd say I take weekends off. I don't take weekends off. I don't. I should do, and I should take some time for me, but I do find that I'm becoming a bit of a workaholic because yeah, just because I really love what I do, and I think when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like a job. So, but I do have a full-time job as well.
Yeah. Someone else has asked, how do you help promote the books of your authors? What sort of marketing promotion do you engage in?
Okay. We initially send out a press release, so that will go to mostly local press. So like I live here in Bradford. So like we would look at like the TNA, it used to be called Made in Leeds. It's called something else now, but that TV channel, the local TV channel. So we look at like local magazines, and we will notify local bloggers. I get in touch with podcasters such as yourself. I have contacts in radio stations and I've got quite a few friends now in the industry that help us out. But I also really encourage social media. So all my authors are told that they really need to set something up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, if they want to start a YouTube channel. But not only do I tell them to do this, but I help them as well, because a lot of my authors are new to the industry. So I kind of specialize in new and struggling authors. So I very rarely get somebody contact me that knows what they're doing, because if they know what they're doing, they're with a big publisher or they're doing it themselves. So the idea of signing to me is that you get somebody that knows what they're doing, but you get that personal involvement as well. Like I won't just say to you, this is your book cover, you're going to have it whether you like it or not. It's a group effort. So I do it for them, but they tell me what they want. So I really encourage all of my authors to get stuck into marketing. I'll set up book signings for them, and at the moment it's hard. Because of COVID, lots of things have been cancelled, and we had this big event planned, this big launch planned with Waterstones that had really got us in there to meet contacts, and local media were invited, and the Lord Mayor were invited, and it was going to be so good for marketing, and I was so excited. And then obviously COVID, and we can't do that now. So we're having to turn our attention more to online marketing, advertisements. If we think they're going to work, advertisements for my own books. I don't pay for advertising, but advertisements sometimes work if you target the right people. And just fun stuff as well. Like at Easter, we did an Easter egg hunt. We did like the images from some of the books that are due to come out, and we hid Easter eggs in them for kids, and yeah, exactly, fun, right? Quizzes and stuff like that. So most of it's online, especially at the moment. But then when it comes to book signings, we dress up, we do like mascots and hand out bookmarks and leaflets and balloons, and you name it, we'll do it. I'm up for anything, me. I'll try out.
That sounds very fun.
Yeah, well, it is fun. It's tiring. It's like when you do a book signing, it's so exhausting. And like my author, Pamela, that was my author that's literally just left the company. When she did it, at the end of it, she was like, oh my God, that was like so much fun. But you want to sleep for like a week afterwards, because you've had to screw on a smile all day, and it's full on, but it's so much fun.
And then you have 8 authors to do that for as well.
Yeah, 8 authors to encourage and to teach, because I pride myself in being that mentor for them as well. So I don't just publish a book and then forget about them. I publish the book, and then for me it's okay, how can we reach these people? How can we reach this extra audience, and 2 of them are working for charity now as well, so their royalties are going to the charities. So there's a lot of work for me getting in touch with the charities, setting up how they're going to support us and how we can support the charity. So there's a lot of things that go on outside of the company as well. Like for marketing, people might come to me and say, how do you market the book? I market the book, but actually we rely on a lot of other people to help market that book as well. And the people that work for the charities and the people that work for the media, they're a huge part of it. And I think if it wasn't for all of the people that lend a hand and that have built those connections with us, we'd really struggle.
I've got a couple more questions. They're just coming in. Someone wants to know, I don't know if this is too personal on the business end, but what is your profit at this stage, and how much do you take as profit from the authors? So like, well, I guess what percentage of royalties, I suppose that would be.
Nice try, but I'm not going to tell you my profits, guys.
Fair enough.
That's like asking, so what's your wage like then? It's a bit of a cringy question. I can't answer that, and it wouldn't be fair for me to give away the details of my author's contracts either, because that's like a private contract terms with me and them. I take an upfront fee though. I can tell you like how it works, but not exactly what I take from my authors and how much they pay me and stuff, because that's a bit icky. But the actual contracts themselves, when you work with me as an editor initially. So you can submit your book for consideration. If I really like it, you get offered a contract, but you pay me as an editor. So you don't actually pay me to publish the book like you would a vanity press. You pay me as your copy editor. So you would pay me I think it's something like £29.10, which is the standard industry standard fee for about 3,000 words an hour. So you pay me as your copy editor. You get 3 full rounds of editing for that. So I'll go through the whole thing with you 3 times, backwards and forwards, proofreading and all that. And then I publish the book for you for free. You'll get your book cover and your formatting and all that with it as well. And then because I don't actually charge anything other than editing for the initial setup, I take a small percentage of royalties as well.
All right. And I think the last question.
All my authors are in profit, by the way, I should say. Nobody ever is in the red. I make sure that, and I also cut my royalties as well. So when, for example, if an author wouldn't make money because of the price and what, say, WH Smith will be taking if they sell a book, if that pushes the author into the red, my section automatically gets cut down as well. So I actually adjust my fees and lower them wherever necessary to make sure that my authors are making money per book. Because there's no point in doing it for them otherwise, is there?
Yeah, no, they wouldn't like that very much. Last question here, and then we'll just touch on something, and then I guess we'll have to. Well, time's almost up, but
clapping.
So, do you market just to English markets, or do you translate the book into other languages?
We haven't translated any books into other languages yet. It is something that we would love to do. I know that all of my authors would be like, "Yay, let's translate into French or Spanish or whatever." And we sell in different countries, so like no matter where you are in the world, you can get a copy of the book, but it will be in English, not in the language of the other country. But yeah, we market in other countries as well. So I don't just target UK readers; I'll target readers worldwide. But at the moment, we don't have any translations going on. But we're a young company. It's like just coming up to a year, so it's something definitely to look at in the future.
Excellent. We didn't even touch on really the book that's sitting right here, but this was this is your latest book then.
Yeah.
Which is all about what we've just been talking about in the last part, which is about self-publishing and hints for authors. And so if there are any authors in the audience, I would highly recommend this. I have read this myself, and I even have a review on the inside. So
you endorsed it for me.
But it was a very good book. I did enjoy it, and there's a lot of good advice in there. So I do highly recommend it. I think we are pretty much out of time. So I wanted to ask any of the attendees to let me know in the comments section, or maybe the question and answer. Just let me know if it's helpful to have these live sessions, because I've been debating staying live or just going to purely record it on YouTube. And so if they can let me know that. And but otherwise, thank you very much, Rachel, for being on the show tonight. And
my pleasure.
With all your publications and all your authors.
If anybody has any more questions or wants to find me, my personal website is rachaelhardcastle.com, or you can go to the publishing website, which is curiouscatbooks.co.uk. I'm on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and the book behind me is now on offer during the COVID-19 period. So if you've got a Kindle and you want to grab it on Kindle, it's only $2.99, so like super cheap. So And that answers a lot of your questions about the basics of self-publishing.
It does, really does. All right, so thanks very much then, and all the best to you in this time, and hopefully we'll be back on the streets and in the bookstores soon.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. Stay safe, everybody, and I hope to hear from you all soon.